Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I look at Upper Deck Mini Jersey from 2005 and Upper Deck Piece of History from 2002. The reason I'm doing these two sets together is because they're both really standalone sets. They don't fit into any other categories. They really are isolated on their own, and I was trying to figure out what to accompany UD Mini Jersey with, and Piece of History is also the standalone where the two, they're just unique enough that I can get away with putting them together, but they're both very isolated affairs in the 2000s that are interesting in their own right. So I'm going to be talking about both of them, but they don't work the same way. They're very different approaches to card sets. And the first one I'm going to talk about, Mini Jersey, this set is really, it's like the almost a throwback to the 1990s. The 90s, there were some really crazy things that they were doing, and to me, this is the closest thing from the 90s to this was Pinnacle Mint. But it's the whole point of the set isn't so much the cards. That's what's really interesting. It's the mini jerseys. So with Upper Deck, when they released Upper Deck Mini Jersey, it was a card set based on little jerseys, doll-sized jerseys, that were included in packs with cards. And the cards were basically an afterthought. So I'll talk about the jerseys in a minute. I'm going to start off with the card set. And the card set is a pretty basic set. It's just 100 cards. It's broken up with veterans and then rookies and then a subset at the end. And these cards, the design is basically just kind of another Upper Deck set from this time. It's not that all the Upper Deck sets look the same, it's that they all took a similar approach. And so these cards aren't very distinctive. It's basically a super saturated image. It has a lot of heavy colors down at the bottom, really nice curves, all these little details in there that all make just kind of a nice little pastiche. And the image of the player is so busy that it kind of fits with the bottom and everything kind of runs together. About the only reason that the image itself kind of stands out is because up along either side, there's a fade to white on either side that kind of helps to show you that that's where the image is supposed to be. There's also a little bit of gold detailing, and up at the top it says Upper Deck Collectibles, and it's easy to mistake that for the set name. It's not. Instead, you got to look down at the bottom and see Upper Deck Football Mini Jersey Collection. That is the name of the set. So it can kind of throw people off if they don't know what it is, and it's kind of understandable they wouldn't know what it is because it's a very small, very unusual set, something that is pretty uncommon to run into. So the cards themselves, they weren't well designed because they didn't need to be. These were almost like additions in the packs. On the card back, ironically enough, while it has an okay write-up and it has some decent information, there's no diagnostics in this. You don't have height, weight, age. You don't have any of that information on the card back. They didn't even get to that point. So these cards are really simplistic. They look nice. There's nothing distinctive about them, so they just kind of fade into the background. The rookies fortunately worked a lot better. In this case, because of the rookie photo shoots or because of practice squad shots, the rookies tend to stand out a little bit better. They're a little bit more clear. I also like the football print on the outside, which almost looks like a golf ball print. But that detail, it adds a little bit of interest to the card that I think rounds it out a little bit better. The card back is very simplistic, and this really looks more like one of those little Upper Deck Rookie Replay or whatever they're called sets that they did as little extra sets. That's really kind of what it looks like. These are nice cards. They're not cards you're going to run into very often. So it's not that they're rare, it's that they're distinctive. They are very unique. So it's kind of cool in that way. But then the cards at the end, which were the season review cards, to me, these are the best cards in the whole set. They downplayed the amount of stuff that they were doing down at the bottom, and they let the image run off the card on either side. So even though it isn't better framed, you do see some of the image down below, which helps to round out the whole card overall. But because it runs off, the picture itself is able to stand more on its own. And so it's kind of the closest thing they have to a distinctive card in the set. But that's basically what they did for the set. It was a pretty basic set, nothing too distinctive. These were not the cards you were supposed to think about, and they are a little bit confusing if you run into them. But again, it's because that's not the point of the set. In every pack, you had a couple of these cards, but you also had a cellophane wrapped mini jersey, and it's nicely folded up. And the jerseys are pretty neat because, like I said, they're doll size, so they're not very big. They have a really nice satin-like texture for the fabric. And the jerseys, they're very well made in terms of just how they're sewn together, how they're designed. Sleeves are a little big, but this, we're not really caring to that extent. But they do have some print on text and stripes, which is actually kind of common for jerseys. But then for the name and for the numbers, they're actually sewn on. So they do have an air of quality that is surprising for it. So these are not just little throwaways. I mean, these are really well made. They also have a little NFL logo on it, which is cool. So they have all the details. The only thing that this jersey here is missing is the GSH on the sleeve, and I'm going to let them off the hook for that, but otherwise it's surprisingly well made. And every single pack had one of these. Now, there are 20 jerseys, and they are all the away jerseys, so they're the white jerseys, but 10 of the jerseys, so half of the jerseys, came also with a more rare home jersey. So there's, again, only half of the players have it, but it's really cool to be able to get the home as well as the away jersey. So that's a bit harder to collect them all. But it's really great to be able to put them together if your team happens to be represented. And there are a couple of teams that have 2 jerseys for that team. So there are a lot of teams that just aren't featured in this set. But they also came with one insert. And the insert it's not a parallel, it is an insert, but it is also jerseys. And these are rookie jerseys. Now, these are not star rookies. So none of these jerseys are really all that valuable, well, I shouldn't say that. They're not all that significant to chase, but they are valuable because they're extremely rare. And I believe that they're all home jerseys because of how they did the autograph. But the autograph is a little print on white stripe down at the bottom, and then the autograph is on top of that stripe. So on the back of the jersey, down at the bottom, they have that on the white stripe. Also on the sleeve, they have a hologram on it for authenticity. Not that you really need it, because the rookie jerseys only come with autographs. The veteran jerseys only come without autographs. So that is the big distinction. So if you do get one of the rookies, it is already autographed. But they also did something else where in the packs for these jerseys, they had an authentication card. And that has a hologram on it, and it's actually personalized for the particular rookie whose jersey you get. So every single authentication card goes with the jersey. So it's kind of cool to actually have the name on that card. But that is what they did for Upper Deck Mini Jersey. That was it. That was the whole point. The whole point of it was the little mini jerseys, which is a cool thing to collect. Now, if you're on the investment side, I'm not sure how great these are. If you're on the general collector side, it's amazing. But if you are a collector of a team, this is one of those things where you basically got to have, if they did make jerseys for your team, these are those things that you have to have in your collection simply because it's that amazing for your collection. They are really cool. These are not to go on dolls. These are just little jerseys. So I love this set. But like I said, that's all that there is to the set. So there's not a lot else to talk about. So I wanted to talk about this other set I referred to, which was Piece of History. And this was 2002. Now, Piece of History, the whole concept of it is jersey swatches. But this is not a set that has parallels of all the cards in the set with jersey swatches. It's kind of interesting how they did it. But the card design itself is very much like the MVP set that Upper Deck did at the same time. The cards themselves, they are, unlike just about all the other Upper Deck sets, these are horizontal, which is really good because they're able to use the real estate in a better way. But you can see from this that it does have an ode to the Upper Deck MVPs and other sets that they were doing at this time. There's a kind of a design concept that they were going with. But the horizontal cards, they're really well laid out. And I like the way that the horizontal layout can work if they do it right. And in this case, I think they really did. They have a good stripe on one side. They have a horizontal image, or the background is a horizontal image with the player popping up on either side, top and bottom. And it makes the card look really cool. On the card back, it also works really well with how they've got the layout. It's got kind of a mirrored quality to the front, so that reads really well. But this card set is more about the rookies, and there are 4 ways that the rookie cards come. Now understand, there are no parallels in the main set. So every version of the rookie card is what that particular rookie's card happens to be. And they're primarily distinctive, well, they're distinctive by 2 categories: with a jersey, without a jersey. And then the serial numbering is the other component that goes into it. So the base rookies, or the most common rookies, are all serial numbered out 2002, which is, obviously the year of this. And these cards they're without jerseys. Now the layout is very similar to the main set, except they changed to a theme of red. So instead of team colors, it's just red for the team. They altered the side and they, over on the other side, they didn't expand out with this huge picture. They instead added some stuff over on the other side to kind of add a little bit of interest. And one of the things that they added was right above the 2002, they have a bunch of red slats. And in those red slats is the same shot of the player's head or helmet repeated in those slats. So it's a really cool element that is distinctive card for card. Every card has a different image in those slats. So that's kind of cool that they did. On the card back, the write-up is actually, it's not a great write-up, and it's almost like they've designed it for the congratulations note that they put on all of these cards when you get jerseys or autographs. So it's kind of an underplayed card back, and I think that's for consistency for all of the cards. And the second version of these cards, the second way that these rookies come, is the same thing. It's no jersey swatch, but instead of being serial numbered out of 2002, this is numbered out of 500. And uses the same silver foil. All of them use the same silver foil. And so it's basically just some more rare or some higher draft pick rookies. So that's the way that those two come. Then they come with the other two versions, which are with jerseys. And the jersey swatches they're kind of cool. Now, these are numbered out of 1,500, the more common ones. So they're almost as common as the regular rookie releases in the set. So these really were coming up almost with the same frequency as the most common rookies. And that was part of what was so interesting about the set, is as you're opening up packs, you're getting these jersey swatches at a really good rate. So collecting the set actually wasn't all that hard. Now, these cards look pretty much the same on the front. They basically took all the stuff on the right side and kind of scrunched it so they could get the jersey in. That's the only change on the front, and on the back, they just added the congratulations note, which is interesting because there's no write-up about the player, basically at all. So that's the way that the jerseys came at the more common rate, and then obviously at the more rare rate, which again is numbered out of 500, this is same design as the others. So that's the way that the rookies come. They come in 4 different versions, but with 3 different rarities. There's the 2002, which is the most common, 1500 with the jersey swatch, which is the next most common, and then numbered out of 500, either with or without the jersey, depending on how this particular player ended up lining up. But they did add quite a few insert cards into this set. So the first insert set is Hitmakers, and this is a horizontal card like the cards in the set. And it's a kind of a cool, interesting design. It's got a lot of stuff going on. You got a cutout shot of the player, and then you've got a zoom in of the player in kind of a faded out background quality. You have some interesting design elements to have kind of a horizontal flow to it. The card does look pretty neat, and they repeat that on the back. Interestingly enough, you basically can't read anything on the back, which is kind of an odd thing about these designs. Every once in a while, they forget to worry about whether the text can be read. They just kind of put it on there and think it looks cool. So, don't get too fired up about reading about these cards. But one thing about all of these insert cards is they all come with a parallel of jerseys. So in the main set, there are no parallels, but in the insert cards, there are parallels for all of these. With one exception, which is that not every card in the insert set gets a parallel, and not every parallel has a base card that it comes off of. So that's what's really interesting here, is the fact that you can have insert sets, both the basic set and the parallel might have the same number of cards, but not necessarily the same players. So that it kind of throws it off, which is kind of a weird thing that they did, but it's kind of cool. So there's silver foil on all the base cards, and that silver foil does not show up on the jersey parallel. The jersey shows up in different places. In this case, it shows up in that big design on the left side, and it's kind of nice the way they did it, the way that it designs into the whole card design overall. The next insert set that they did was National Heroes, and this is actually a vertically oriented card, and it is an overly designed card without a lot of thought put into it. I really don't like these cards at all. I don't know what they were thinking when they were designing it. It's kind of an awkward, congested card. It's kind of it feels like a stop, just a full stop. I don't get it. On the card back, it looks a little bit better, but overall, just it's especially with all the horizontal cards. But interestingly enough, the parallel of this is horizontal, and when you look at the horizontal orientation, actually it makes perfect sense. This is the correct design for these cards. I like the idea that you have a vertical and then a horizontal. I think that that's a really cool trick that they played. It's just that the vertical card looks so bad, I really wish that they just hadn't bothered to play that trick. They also did a set called Run to History, and this is obviously running backs. And in this case, they just have a band down one side with, the information, the silver foil text, or it gets replaced with black. And it's a blue color, and it's kind of cool the way that it is. But the really nice thing about this is that the image on the other side gets kind of scrunched, which gives them the ability to really focus in on the player. So the player stands out more because he's more isolated. He's more the subject of the whole card. So it's a really good trait that they went with. And when they changed over to the jersey swatch, they put the jersey swatch right on the image, which is kind of cool. And then they replaced the blue with green, that was actually something really cool about these cards, the fact that they actually changed something significant between the two. I also like the fact that they replaced the silver foil with bronze, not a bronze metal, but a chrome finished type bronze. And so that also makes it look really good. So these cards really do look very distinctive, and I don't know why it's so unique with these cards, but whatever. It is good. Then they have Rookie Glory, and this is looking at rookies that were basically standouts, or excuse me, this is veterans who were standouts as rookies, and that's kind of what they're looking back at. These cards are horizontal again, and it's really busy, but it works really well. They have a cutout of the player, and he could easily get lost in this card, except the detailing in the back works so well that he actually stands out really well. So I like this card a lot. I think it's really successful. It may be the best card design overall in the entire set, and I say that because I can't think of which other one would be better. It's a very, very well designed card. And over on the side, they have a team logo, a box of it. Well, for the rookie swatch, they pop that out and put the swatch in there, but the swatch also has a double box on it, which is kind of an interesting thing that they did. It makes it look really distinctive, which is cool. So these are really good. But the inserts all end with the main insert that they did, which is called The Big Game. And this is a huge insert set. So this is the one that you were really getting in packs at a frequent rate. And the cards are all vertical, and they have they have the silver foil, but they also have a chromatic finish of silver printed onto the card as well. And these cards, of course, have the silver foil replaced with black. Otherwise, everything remains silver. And the swatches have kind of an X pattern, which looks kind of cool. But what's really distinctive about these is the fact that there is actually another parallel. There's a parallel to the jersey, which is a patch. And these patches are serial numbered out of 25, and it's a gold it's gold foil for the 25. And all of the silver on the front gets replaced by gold. So they look really good. But they're also patches, which means that they're really thick. The cards are little bricks, so they are so distinctive from everything else. I did not end up getting one of these in a pack. The one that I have, I bought separately, so I don't know if they were the whole pack, but they probably were. That's probably the way that they came. But they are extremely thick, so they are very different from everything else. But that was it. That was what they did for Piece of History. So Piece of History was all about jerseys. It was about rookies with jerseys. It was about the parallels, and these jerseys came up at a very quick rate. So as you were collecting these cards, you tended to be able to put together these sets at a pretty decent rate. However, there are a few of the jersey swatches that are extremely, extremely difficult to get. And then, of course, there is the patches, which are numbered out of 25, so they're also really, really rare. But overall, for me, I remember that this was a set that was a lot of fun to collect, but not nearly as much fun to collect as the mini jerseys. That was just amazing. And I'm amazed that it's not a better known set. Mini jerseys to me is just one of those moments where you look and you say, see, that's what the 90s were about. You can still do the 90s. Here it was 6 years after the 90s, and they were still doing little things here and there. I want to see more of that. But regardless, they did do it, and so it's a fun thing that we're able to tap into. So let me know in the comments below if you remember these things, if you've been collecting them and having fun with them. And definitely let me know if you're lucky enough to have gotten one of those rookie jersey autographs, because those, for me, those have been shockingly difficult to come across. But other than that, yeah, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Check out my other videos. And thank you very much for watching.